I realize that I'm going to be stepping on a lot of people's toes with this video. um, so, in essence, is it wrong or right, ethical or immoral to not inform somebody that their tattoos look like shit? So, premise behind this. There is this woman that I work with. She's in her late 20s, I believe, and she is covered in really shitty tattoos. And normally you may think, okay, she got these tattoos during her youth. You know, they're all very poorly done. A lot of them are very small, minimalistic kinds of tattoos. I remember a customer one time asked, "How many tattoos do you have?" And she responded with like something like 36 tattoos. I don't remember. It was something, well above 20 tattoos. And generally, when people say, "Oh, I have, you know, 36 tattoos," or whatever the number was, typically they're a lot smaller, the tattoos. I mean, they're not like these huge back pieces because in my mind, when I consider a larger piece, I consider it to be one thing, even though you probably had to go to multiple sessions to get it done. Like my half sleeve, I consider this all one tattoo, even though it's, multiple sessions that I had to go through. Like 13 hours, I think, altogether of tattooing to get this done. So when people, in my mind, say that they have 30 something tattoos, they're typically smaller. And I personally am not a fan of smaller tattoos. I have some, but I believe the bigger, the bolder, the more colorful it is, the best product you're going to get. It's not going to last long. Like these little fuckers that I have on my wrists are already blowing out and they're only, 3, 4 years old. That's not really the point. Small tattoos, it's really easy to think, okay, I'm going to go to a local street artist that does, or street shop artist that just, takes some walk ins and stuff like that. They're always free, never any long waiting lists because it's a small tattoo. Why would I wait? So people, including myself, when I first started getting tattooed with these little guys, think that you can go to anyone. I mean, it's really easy. It's really simple to just go to a local street shop and just get something done that day versus finding an artist that specializes in whatever you're getting and actually getting a good tattoo, having to wait a few weeks or a few months or even a few years if they're really, really booked up. Um, so they don't do that. And it's the same thing with this woman that I work with. She doesn't, seem to understand that tattoos are specialistic. So, a person can make a whole back piece beautifully done may not be able to do a small script because it's not necessarily within their skill set. Or not necessarily something that they do on the regular. So it's not going to turn out as well as if you had gone to someone who specialized in it to begin with. I learned that the hard way. However, this woman that I work with refuses, and I mean refuses to go see any other tattooer besides this individual that she goes to see. She swears up and down by this guy, says she's the best, he always charges fair rates and, he's not expensive, blah, 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 stuff like that. So she's gotten a variety of very small tattoos and a few larger pieces done by him. And I'm not going to focus too much on the smaller pieces. I'm going to focus on the larger pieces. So the larger pieces are done really, really poorly. And if you have a bunch of small little shitty tattoos, it's not like people are really going to look at it too much. But if you have something that's large, very prominent, um, people are going to notice when it doesn't look good. They're going to take note of it to begin with, you know. Like when I got these little wrist tattoos, these are my first wrist tattoos. I can guarantee maybe 1 out of every 10 people actually took notice that I had them because they were so small. But with this, I'm constantly, you can see it. It's not like it's hidden anywhere. It's not like it's small. So the larger the piece, the more important it is to get it right, in my opinion. So she swears up and down by this guy. And the tattoos that are larger, I think I've seen like maybe one tattoo that she's gotten that was larger that didn't turn out to be a catastrophe, in my opinion. But these, like, it's like this individual doesn't know how to blend colors. They don't know how to compose a tattoo to begin with. It's very clunky to look at. When you, in my opinion, when you look at a tattoo, you should know generally what you're looking at within a few seconds. But if it takes me longer than 5 or 6 or 7 seconds to realize what I am looking at, that means the composition isn't very good, because you can have a very dynamic, beautiful piece that has a lot of components to it. And if it's composed right, you can be able to tell right away what you are looking at. Like, for example, this little girl I have on my back. Sorry, I'm like not showing this very well. You can tell it's a woman right away. You can tell there's a ladybug right away. You can tell it's a mushroom lady right away. No need to, no need to think about it. With her tattoos, you can't tell what they are right away. So I was looking at the one that she recently got on her back, and she's showing this one to everybody. It's placed really awkwardly. It doesn't seem like the person who tattooed this on her had a very good sense of where to put it on her back. It's very awkward. It's kind of like not in the center of her back, but like maybe a few inches above the center of her back. And it's more of a circular kind of tattoo, so you would think that that would be placed a little bit differently. I don't know, that was just the first thing that I noticed with it. The second thing that I noticed with it is I don't know what I'm looking at when I looked at it right away. And it turns out it was like one of those Marilyn Monroe paintings, or not paintings, photographs. Except instead of her being in a realistic kind of photograph, portrait type of thing, it was one of those Day of the Dead things. So they made her look like she was a Day of the Dead character. I appreciate the creativity on that, I really do, but when you look at it, you can't tell what you're looking at. If someone else had done that, I can guarantee it would be a little more readable to understand what it looks like. And then the other part of it was that the blending, the shading, was done horribly. That was probably the main thing that was wrong with that tattoo. The colors were concentrated really deeply in certain areas, and in other areas, they were not. And I get it, there's like negative spaces and stuff like that that you need to have in order for a tattoo to not look like one big clump, but they didn't do it carefully. It wasn't done with an eye for it, I guess you could say. I'm not saying that I could do any better than that. I couldn't, but if you're making that into your profession and you're charging people money for this, you really, really, really should know how to shade something properly. And you could tell that thing is just going to look like, a big ass blob of nothingness, because it's just, the coloring was wrong. Everything about it, in my opinion, was done very sloppily. You can tell, the composition on this one was better than the ones that I've seen on her before, but it was still done very poorly. And even no matter how affordable these people are, you are still spending money on something. So that's an issue. And then the other part is that she recommends this individual to everyone and anyone, which is problematic, because people who may not know any better may think, okay, this person can do all of her tattoos, so he can do one of mine. And oh my gosh, at that point, what do you say to that person who's recommending a tattooer that's not good at their profession? What do you do? Honestly, what do you do? Yeah, like, do you go and you tell them, I'm sorry, you really need to see someone differently, or someone different, because this is not a good tattoo you're getting, and this is not a good product you're getting? You're recommending them to people who don't know any better, and you're telling them, oh yeah, he charges, really reasonable rates and stuff like that. If the reason why you're going to someone is because of their rates, I think you should reconsider even getting the tattoo, because in my opinion, you should go to the best person you can within your reasonable limits to get something. You shouldn't have to go to someone just because, they are more affordable. That seems really stupid for something that's going to be permanently on your body. Sometimes sucking it up and saving up money and spending a little bit more than you would have otherwise is probably the best thing to do. Putting yourself on a waiting list for this tattooer to get, the piece done you want. No matter how big or small, is probably the best thing you can do for yourself. So that leaves the question at the start of this video. Do you tell the person who is receiving these tattoos that their tattoos are bad? Because if you keep on saying, oh yeah, it turned out so great, that's such a pretty tattoo, and you're thinking in your mind that is a piece of garbage, please don't go to that person again. Are you responsible for their continual support of these artists that are non-artistic? Let's be real. Um, I don't know. I can't say that I've been high and mighty and righteous and said the right thing and told her, you know what, you need to go to someone else, because I haven't. She's my boss. Um, it's just like, how do you break it to somebody that what they're doing isn't for their own best interest? I don't know. And what's really getting me is not necessarily that she's doing this to her own body. She's continually supporting artists that are not artistic and not capable. Maybe like you'd be great as like a painter or something, but I think it's very different being artistic in that sense versus being able to apply it to a person's body correctly. Um, you know, what's the problem I see is she's a grown ass adult. She can do her research and see what is best, but she's not doing that, and she's insisting on going to the same person. Like, here's the deal though, right? I've gone to many artists for many different things. My neo trad pieces, I always go to the same lady for. My cover up pieces for scarring, I do go to a different person. For black and gray, I go to a different person. And it's just like, I go to the person who's able to provide me the best product, but she's telling other people to not do that and that it's stupid to do that. I wouldn't ask my black and gray artist to give me a full color piece, because it's unreasonable. And that goes back to, you have to find someone that specializes in it. She very clearly isn't finding someone that specializes in it. Maybe this guy is an amazing black and gray tattooer, but he cannot do color pieces. Hence the pieces that she has looking like really fucking shitty. So yeah, I guess the solution here is to do your research, but what do you do when someone's telling everyone that this is the way to go? Discuss. I don't know. I don't have an answer.